Hi there, it's Jan here. I'm going to show you today how to make this little gift box, which contains 6 cards, six little note cards, with 6 gift tags as well, and a little pen that will go in it as well. So the size of this box is, let me find my ruler, it is 8 3/4 by 4 3/4 by about 1.5 depth, and in here I have 6 cards, 6 envelopes, 6 gift tags, and the little pen that I've just taken out that's actually here. So let me just show you inside how it works. I've already posted a lot of the cards online, so you may well have seen those already, but I'll just show you again in case you haven't. So it's a simple pizza style box, and like I say, it contains 6 cards, 6 envelopes, and you can fit a little pen in there as well. It makes a very nice little gift. So these are the cards. You may well have seen these already, and people have asked me how to make these, and I'll show you that as we go along. So these are the cards that I've made for this box, and variation of it on other boxes that I've made as well. So that's that. And you have, as you can see, there's a lot of room actually in here. It's because these cards I've made are very flat cards for posting. If you want to put lots of embellishments on your cards, then it will still hold about 6 cards. But if you want to make flat cards and you want to increase the amount of cards you put in there, I would say it probably take double, probably take 10 to 12 cards. Right, okay, and some little matching gift tags here. And this is probably how I'll show you how to, how to make the cards. They're the same sort of principle. Okay, so let's just put this aside for the moment while I tell you what you need. Let's just do that up. I'll tie that up in a little while. First of all, I'm going to use about 24 inches of ribbon for the closure, and I've cut it in half. I'm going to heat seal the ends in a bit when we come to use it. Let's put that out of the way. Your basic cardstock, I'm using 300 gram in white. You can use any colour obviously that you like. So it's quite sturdy enough for this. So the first pieces you're going to need, you need to cut 2 pieces exactly the same as each other, and they are 7 3/4 by 11.5, and you need 2 of these. And when you've cut them, you need to score all the way round on all sides of both of them at 1.5 inches. Okay, like that. Then on one of them that we're going to use as the top of the box, you need to put between these 2 squares here, which I hope you can see, these 2 squares, you need to put score tape along here. You can use wet glue, but on this particular piece it's really quite difficult to hold it in place, so I would use score tape there, but I'm going to use wet glue on all the other things. So that's the first 2 pieces. You're also going to need a piece which doesn't have to be cut from the same cardstock. It can be a bit lighter weight if you want it to. Mine's the same, but it doesn't have to be. And the size of this is 4 5/8 by 11.5, and you need to score this at 6.5, 8 and 9.5. You also need 2 little strips that are 1 inch wide by 3 inches long, and you score those in the middle because we're going to fold them in half to use them. Okay. So before I go any further, I'm just going to apologise for the lighting. There's lots of shadows, but unfortunately I think we've got a storm brewing, and that's reflected in the lighting. I've actually got 4 sets of lights on, so I'm hoping that you're still able to see it. So let's put that just aside for the moment while we talk about the top papers. So I'm using this pad here, which is Watercolour Dreams by Hobbycraft. It's really pretty paper, absolutely gorgeous, lovely colours. So yeah, that's what I'm going to use. and the pieces I've cut out already are, we need a piece for the lid, which is 4.5 by 8.5. We need pieces for the longest sides of the box, and you need 3 of these, and these are going to be 8 5/8 by 1 3/8. Okay, so you need 3 of those. Then you're going to need 4 pieces for the sides of the box, which are 4 5/8 by 1 3/8. But on 2 of them, you need to cut just a tiny bit off. So 2 of them, you keep them as 4 5/8 by 1 3/8. And the other 2, you cut off a very small amount, not even 1/8 of an inch, I don't think. It's just that otherwise it won't sort of fit properly. So, you know, you can see, look, it's such a, I hope you can pick that up. It's such a tiny amount. It's probably a 1/16, and I just hand cut that. So that's fine. So that's the pieces that you're going to need of your top paper. So let's get straight on with the construction of this box. Let's put that ribbon over there with that. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your top and bottom of your box, and the one that doesn't, oh, actually, let's first of all, let's stick the papers to it so that, oh no, we'll do that at the end, that's fine. Right, okay, so the piece that's going to be the bottom of your box, the piece that hasn't got the tape on it, if you remember right, so the piece that hasn't got the tape on it, you're going to need a pair of scissors, and before you do the score lines or before you fold it up or anything like that, we're going to cut along these score lines. And I'm going to do it this way because I can see the score lines better. So basically we're going to, along the long edge, I hope you can see this, on both sides, the long edge, you're going to find the score line that's here, and you're going to cut to the left of it and to the right of it here. Basically, we want to not have this score line in it. So you're going to cut up the side of this score line to where it meets the overlapping score line. And then in order to mitre this, you're going to cut off a tiny piece from this side here, effectively cutting out the score line. So it doesn't need to be much, it just needs to be a little bit like that. Okay, you're going to do the same thing on this side. So you cut inside the score line here. So effectively you end up cutting the score line out, and then mitre it by cutting it off the score line. Now turn the paper completely round, the card completely round, and do exactly the same thing. So you cut inside the score line this side, right up to there, and then cut the score line out whilst you're mitring this here, and the fourth side. Right, that's everything that we need to do with this piece. Now the second piece that has these lines on it, we're going to do something that has the score tape on it. We're going to do something slightly different. So on the edge, away from the score line, away from the score tape, you're going to cut. I'm going to turn mine over because I can see it better. You're going to cut and do exactly the same as you did on the other part of the box. So you're going to cut up that score line there and mitre it by taking out the whole score line. Cut up here and mitre it by taking this out. And I hope you can see this. On the other side, however, the side that's got the score tape on it, let me just check if I'm still in position. Yes, right, okay. We're going to cut that square completely out. So you cut up this inside part of the score line that you made, and then you cut along the side part of the score line. So basically when this bit, you remove this bit, it's got all the score lines attached to it. You don't want that. And the same with this side. So that's up here, it's along here, and throw that piece out. We don't want that. Right, that basically is about as hard as it's going to get. This is, as I say, one of the simplest boxes that it's possible to make. So now, folding it up, putting it together. So first of all, fold up your pieces and make sure that they are perfectly straight. It's really important that you do that. Now, I'm probably not even going to bother with a score, you know, a bone folder, to be honest with you. I don't think it needs it, because it really only needs to be a 90-degree fold. This one here may be slightly different, but we'll see later on. So you fold that up, make sure that it is perfectly straight along these two sides here, because otherwise it will be difficult to manipulate later. And you fold up these pieces, making sure that they're completely straight here and here, and this outside edge aligns with the outside edge there, and the same here, making sure that that score line completely lines up and this outer edge completely lines up. And then we're going to fold those pieces in, making sure that they are completely straight along this outer edge. So match that line up there and just do that. Right, that's the first piece. Put that aside for a moment. This is the bottom, so we're going to do exactly the same with this. Fold it up. Like I say, I don't think this particular box needs a bone folder, to be honest with you, especially not if you're using this weight of card. There. And this piece here. And then we're going to fold in these tabs, lining them up with the outside edge. That's that one. That one. That one. And this last one here. There we go. Right, now then, you can apply score tape or you can use wet glue. I will see how I go with the wet glue because I haven't got that much left, but we'll see how we go. So basically all you're going to do now is just simply fold this up. So you're going to make sure that this edge here meets exactly with this edge here, like that. And then you're going to stick that together. Okay, so the flap is inside, and you're going to do that with all four corners. So let's quickly get this done. If you find that it won't match up along the top edge, no matter what you do with it, all pushing and pulling and everything else, it's probably because you need to mitre it a little bit more. You might not have cut enough off when it comes to the mitring. So just take a little bit more off. Okay. I'm desperately running out of glue here. I need to top it up. So make sure that all your corners are really, really square. It does make a difference. because the top overlaps the bottom on this style of box. And as you can see, I'm just popping some clips on till it dries, which won't take very long at all. Don't know if you can hear my little dog snoring. He's sitting down on the floor here with me and he's snoring. Now he's having a little bit of a dig. He's so sweet. He likes to come and sit in the craft room with me when I'm working. He likes to be nosy, to make sure that nothing's happening that he doesn't know about. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this in focus and in shot. There we go. Teddy, that's enough digging. Shush. Be quiet. Let's put some more clips on here. Clearly, it's not enough digging. I don't actually know what he's digging. It's carpet. Crazy dog. Right, put that aside for a moment while we do the top. And it's going to be exactly the same on these two corners here. This one and this one. That's it, make sure they line up perfectly. One and two. And this one. One. And oops, come out of it. There we go. One and two. Okay, we'll let that dry for a moment while we can then cover the lid. So getting your, so let's start off with the ribbon. As I say, 22 inches, and I've cut it in half, or 24 inches, I've cut it in half, and I'm just going to heat seal the ends here to stop it fraying, because this is satin ribbon. Frays, shocking. One, two. There we go. Now, the times I've made mistakes with this, you wouldn't believe. So the first piece of ribbon needs to go, if you turn the box over, the box lid over, so you've got the top of it facing you and the front of it facing you. Around about the middle, wherever you gauge that to be, I mean you can measure it if you want to, you need a piece of tape about an inch, I suppose, and as wide as your ribbon is. And you just see where you think the middle is, which I think is about there, and just set it back a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch. And put your tape on. Like that. Then we remove the backing. This is such good tape, it's a murder to get the backing off of it. Don't know what the make of it is, I just bought it from a craft fair, so I took a chance and it's turned out to be brilliant. As you can see. There, right. So don't forget, this is the front of the box, not the flap side, the front of the box. And we're going to place this piece of ribbon this way, round about the middle, because it's going to come down here and tie in the front. Right, okay. So now let's stick the top paper on. So your large piece of paper, colour of paper, is going to go on here like this. Run some glue or some score tape around the edge, whatever you want to use. It's not going to take any weight or anything, so it really doesn't need much glue on it. As long as the edges are covered and a little bit in the middle, that's absolutely fine. Tweezers. So you're just going to line this up, leaving a little border all the way round. Push it back a little bit till it's nice and neatly positioned, and then just press it down a bit. Okay. You can also add, now we can take these off, I think. At this point, you can also add the front piece. So you want one of these longer pieces. Sorry if I'm not gluing it up in the view. I'm sure you've seen somebody putting glue on before though. Right, so we just put that lined up with there. Bring it right to the edges, right to the edge. Line it up nice and smartly. You've got a little bit of time to just fiddle around with it, she says. With this piece sticking down. There we go, like that. Now at this point, the other thing that you're going to want is a 1-inch punch, 1-inch circle punch. And we are just going to punch a little finger hold here for when the box closes. So where you have the ribbon, you also want to put your little finger bit, and you take it not quite, I don't know if you can see that, but not quite halfway. So almost halfway, but not quite. Oh, and a lot of strength. There we go. So that's like that. So that at the moment is the top of the box. We won't do the sides at the moment until we've got the whole thing set on. Right, now then, the bottom of the box is nicely set now. So what we're going to do is, you have the bottom of the box here. We're going to put the top of it, don't forget this is not attached to anything. You have put the top of the box on like this and put it on its side and work it until it is absolutely fitting as perfectly as you can get it. Really, really push it down, square it up. There, that's perfect. And then when you push this piece down, you'll notice that that fits over that back piece there, and that's the hinge for your lid. So let's start by taking off the score tape backing, which is no mean feat in itself. 1, 2. Oh, let me put the pin in my glue bottle as we won't be doing anything. There. I hope that you're able to see with the light the way it is. So now we're going to put this top back over the bottom of the box, and you'll see that it fits absolutely exactly. Push it down very tightly until it lines up like this, and then fold this flap over and glue it down. There we go. Perfect. That's a perfect fit. So now we can open the box, and you can use your bone folder inside. If I can find my bone folder, I do tend to put things down. Yeah, my bone folder inside, and press it down really, really firmly. Okay. There we go. Now then, now you can gently ease that back on itself, and there you have your lid. So when you close the box, it fits over perfectly. Okay, and that basically is the box. It's so simple. Now we're going to do the inside of the box to give it some strength. So there's where you need this piece. Let's move the box out of the way. And this piece, if you remember, we've scored at 6.5, 8 and 9.5. And what we're going to do is we can add some tape to this, or of course you can use wet glue if you want to. You add some tape between the 6.5 and the 8 lines. Trusty acrylic block that I use to rip off my score tape. And we're going to need a thinner piece, which is here. Oh, bless him, my little dog's snoring his head off here. He's just so happy to be in the craft room with me. Doesn't care what I'm doing, as long as he can sit down here by my feet. He's very happy. Trim off any odd bits that you've got, which is here and here. Okay, now I don't know if you can see better the score lines on by looking at it this way, but what we're going to do is we're going to fold this score line, the centre one, upwards. So fold it in half like that, and this time you can use your bone folder. You need to give this a nice sharp crease. Okay, and then the other two score lines, so this short one we're going to bend back the other way, making sure that it lines up along these two sides. Let's move that out of the way, it's distracting. Really crease it well, turn it over, and we're going to do the same with the other piece, and I'll show you in a moment. So make sure that these sides line up, that's the most important thing. And then what we end up with is a piece like this, okay, with the score tape in the middle here. So what we need to do first of all, we also need to fold these pieces in half and score them. And these are going to be the bits that anchor this to the sides and bottom of the box. Fold them in half. Give them a good press. Right. So how we're going to put this together, when this stands upright like this in the box, so this is the base of the box and this is the divider between the cards and the tags, we want these tags here to fit in here at the bottom and to go forward like that. Okay, we don't want them to go backwards to the small part like that, because they will interfere with the closing of the box, so they have to go forward. So basically we need to turn this over, and on the side with the score tape, take the score tape off, the backing off I mean, not the score tape. That would be daft. Come on, release, release, release. Be good, play nice. Okay, now along this first score line, this one here that's at the 6.5 here, you need to stick one of these with it folding inward. You need to stick it on the bottom. So let me show you this way round. So now I'm not going to push this together completely because otherwise it will stick. It's got score tape on it. But I'm going to put this in here, bending it forward, and press that down. Okay, so inside it will look like that. Take the second piece and do exactly the same thing. Run it along but not over where you've put the score line, the fold line. Make sure that this fold line, this score line here, is just on the outside of this. Okay, then I'm going to add a little bit of wet glue, because this is taking up where the score tape was, obviously. And you're going to stick this together. Put the pin in there by simply folding it in half and pressing down. Are you snoring, baby? Oh dear me, sound like a piglet, not a doglet. Right, and then we have this. This is the solid piece. These pieces are going to face forward like this, and this is your divider, so it should look like that. Okay, now that's going to go in the bottom of your box, and I just tend to put the cards to the left and the tags to the right. I mean, you can put it the other way around if you prefer it that way round. It doesn't really make any difference. Have it either way. But basically, you're going to, I've found the best way to do it is to tape it. The easiest way to do it is to tape it all the way round. So flatten it out. Doesn't matter if you flatten it that way or that way, really, to be fair. Just as long as it's flat, like that. Then we're going to run tape all the way around it. I should find, there's my smaller block, that's better. There. I'm not going to put any tape on these tabs at the moment, so I'm going to stick those down with glue. Last bit on the end. I mean, to be honest with you, it won't move once it's in there, but this is just a double, you know, double check. Give it a good burnish all over, then remove the backing, I'll hold on, let's get these off. One. Come on. There we go. Two. Sometimes you have a devil of a job trying to get this backing off of these. But I guess that's good. It shows you how sticky the tape is. Three. And another one. The last one. There we go. Bring your box back. Now we haven't got any tape on these pieces, on these flaps here, so just hold them forward. Hold that in position how it's supposed to be. And another thing I do, another sort of trick I guess I do, is I have some of this this wet glue. This is Collal glue, and it's a spirit glue. Incidentally, if you're doing anything with very thin paper, this won't go through the paper. Is this the bottle I'm using, or am I using another bottle? I think I might be using another bottle. Hold on, I think that one's run out. Sorry about this. There we go. Anyway, I use a little bit of this, that's better, and run it all over the tape. And that gives me even more wiggle room, so I can get it just placed where I want it to before it sets. And it's double, you know, then it's got double the strength. It's got the strength of the tape and the strength of the glue. So you just manipulate this into place, push it out, and give it a good burnish. Now, like I say, this is basically your box. This is it. Just a couple more pieces to do. So folding those flaps forward, we're now going to stick them in place by gluing these parts here. Hold that in an upright position, and you can tell that because your tab will fit to the bottom of your box. So that's how you know it's upright. And the same with the other side. Excuse me if you can't see this, I'm just gluing it, that's all. I hope you can see it, but it's awkward to do, fiddly to do. Push the side of the box in, glue this to the side, making sure it comes to the bottom. Hold it there just for a second or two. There you go. And there you have your box. Now, in order to decorate the bottom part of the box, where you have the ribbon coming across here, so partially close it, where the ribbon comes across a little bit, just maybe mark that. So that we don't do exactly what I did earlier on and ended up having to take the whole box apart. So you pull the ribbon down and we mark the two sides of the ribbon here in the middle of the bottom of the box. Don't take it right down to the bottom. So we need another piece of tape, again about 1 inch by 1 inch, I suppose. Just like this. And you put it 1/8 of an inch up from the bottom in between these two markers. Okay, so it doesn't come to the top, it comes to the bottom because the ribbon's got to come out of the bottom in order to tie. Take off the backing. Take off the backing. And stick our remaining piece of ribbon downwards. Okay, don't stick it going up, which is what you would imagine it should be. It actually needs to go downwards because it's going to come back on itself. There we go. Okay, Now all that remains is to stick the remaining pieces of the designer paper over it. So first of all, let's do this front edge since we have it like this already. I'm just gluing it, but I don't have room on there with the box as well. Put some extra glue on the ribbon. Make sure it sticks to it nicely. Add your paper. It's cut to fit, so there's not that much of a margin either end, or, you know, sort of top and bottom. It's cut to fit. If you like it with a bit more of a margin, then just trim it up a bit, that's fine. Close the box like that, and we'll stick the back piece on. Sorry, I know I'm out of camera shot here, but it's just me putting some glue on, that's all. Just sitting back in my chair for a moment. Right, do the same with the back. That's it there, all lined up nicely. That needs to come down a little bit. Give it a good burnish. Whoop. Flying box. Crazy. Now, on the ends here, you'll see the underneath one, it appears to be longer than the top one because it stops there. So where you had your two ones that I asked you to cut down a bit shorter, they're the ones that are going on this outside top edge. Okay, so let's just find which ones they are. That's this one and this one. Okay. Let's move that out of the way a moment. So we just glue this up. And we are almost done. Like I said, it's a very, very easy project, but looks very effective and makes a beautiful gift for somebody. So we pop these on here. This one. On here. And burnish it. Give it a good burnish. And the same on the other end. That fits on there. There we go. Perfectly. Good burnish. And then open up the box. Make sure that everything is stuck down. And stick these two end pieces in place. And then, to be honest, I'd probably give it a moment or two to dry before I tried closing the box, but you know, we're gonna sort of have to close it in order to show you how it works. And the last piece, bits on there. Make sure that's level. It's pretty hard to see from the angle I'm sitting at. There we go. Burnish it all up. And then obviously you can burnish from the inside as well of your box. To make sure that it's stuck. And there we go. Obviously I'm going to erase this when I get a chance. I'll find my eraser. But that's your basic box. So when it closes up like this, you can tie it up with a nice little bow. And embellish the top sides, whatever you want to do in whatever way you want to do it, really. Because the cards inside mine are simple, I've just put a simple couple more die cuts on the top. Oh, I always struggle with tying bows. There we go. So we want these 2 pieces of ribbon down. Don't make a big deal of it, good grief. There we go. That comes down there, that comes down there, and this bow gets bigger. Like this. Have the bow as big as you want. Bearing in mind that it's got to be tied up again frequently by the other person. Yeah, fiddle about with it, arrange it, and trim your bow in, trim your ends as much as you want. And that basically is your box. So let's pop some cards inside it so you can see how it goes. So these are some cards and these are the envelopes. Now the card size I've used here is 6 by 4. And these fit perfectly. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. 6 by 4 fit in here perfectly, you see? And these are the cards. I think I showed you them the other day. Oops, spare piece. They're very similar to the other cards in the other box, they're just different combinations with various bits on them, like, you know, just wanted to say and best wishes and things like that. Because they're note cards, I haven't put anything inside them, as opposed to sort of like a big birthday card or anything like that. Okay, so that's 3 of those, 3 that way. Pop them in there. I haven't got the tags made, so I won't pop them in there. And a reasonable sized pen. So if you want to get a nice, you know, a nice smart little pen to fit in there as part of the gift. I'm just trying to find what I've done with my pen. Excuse me. Okay, well, let's just improvise. Call that a pen? No, we won't. It's got a nib on it. We'll call this the pen. So yeah, the pen fits in there. The matching tags fit in there. Okay, so that's the box. Now I'll very quickly show you how to make the cards. The cards are simplicity themselves, actually, and yet they're the things that people were quite interested in. So all they are is a card base, which is 6 by 4, which I cut myself and then I folded in half, and then some more of this paper, you know, in the different colours, cut to size, which is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I've put that on the top. I've die cut. I printed these out on the computer on the printer, and then just die cut some different shapes for the tags with the various things, just wanted to say best wishes, etc, etc. And then this is just simply a die cut on top, but it looks very, very effective. But and there you go, you can see it. That's what I did for the decoration on top of the original box, the first box. So that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it, which is this way here, which again I really like, is to cut a piece of white cardstock to fit. So if that was 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, the coloured paper, this piece here needs to be 5 1/2 by 3 1/2, this white piece here. And then you carefully line up your die along the bottom of it and cut it out. So let me show you here. Okay, so this, if this was stuck onto here like this, which it should be, then you have your piece of card that you cut 5 1/2 by 3 1/2, which should fit on there, ignore that bit. Then you line up your die and cut it out so it's like not a piece of scrap. It's actually come out of there, and then you can do one of several things. You can either then stick the die cut back into the place it came out of once you've knocked all the little bits out, and then you can see the background through it. So that's one thing you can do. Or you can do very similar to this one, which is where, and I'll show you on another die cut. Hold on, I'll show you on this one, which I haven't released from the thingy yet. So if you imagine that we still have, oh yes we do still have it, there it is. So this is the background, this is the white piece that would go on here. Obviously it's not cut to size, but I'm just demoing it. So that would go on there, that would be your piece that goes on the front. I hope you're getting the idea of this. And then we simply release this from the die and come out nicely. There we go, bit of a fiddle. Let's get away, let's move this card because that's confusing things at the moment. So that would sit on top of there like that, bearing in mind that that obviously would be trimmed to fit. And then you can put the die back in, you could put the die cut back in. Now that's really effective. Once you stick that down, that's really effective. So that's that one. But another thing you can do is you can do this. And that is by using the same die cut, but cutting it in, for example, I've cut this one in silver. These are all the bits. This one I've cut in silver, just to show you. You get two cards. So you, first of all, you get the silver outline, which you can use on another card, or silver, gold, whatever you want to do it out of. So that makes another card, but also you've got all the bits in silver. And if you, like I did with this one, you only need a random few pieces. So if this, excuse me, so if this is stuck down here, you only need a random few pieces to go in, back into where they came out of. And the way you do that is you just put a bit of glue in here, then you pop in a random couple of pieces. Whoops, go in there. My fingers are not very good, I'm afraid, so that's why I always end up using tweezers. I've got very sort of shaky hands, unfortunately. So you can see how effective this is becoming already. It doesn't matter where you put them wherever you like. But you only need a few pieces in there to make it look something really nice. So then you have two different backgrounds in there. Okay, let's put another piece in. Put a piece up the top. Just put them in randomly. And you still have a lot of bits over, so another thing you can do with it, see, there we go, see how pretty that looks already? So another thing you can do is on the one that has the silver cut out, or whatever colour you want to use, you can also put pieces back. See if I can pick some up. And that also looks pretty. Put random pieces back. So this is already 2 cards you have out of this. And I'll show you a third way to do it in a moment. Sorry, a third card you can do with it in a moment. So if you just put random pieces in, that also looks really nice. So that's 2 cards, okay? Like that. And that's all I did with this one. With this one here. I made 3 cards the same as this, each with this die cut. And I put the die cut itself back in, as you can see here, like I did there. And then I also die cut it from gold here, like this. And I used the bits that fell out to just put random pieces in each of 3 cards. And I've still got this over. So if I still want to use that, I can put that on a card as well. Okay, so that's that. But another way you can do it as well is to put this down. I don't know if this is going to work on here because it's probably too thick. But once you've stuck these down, if you fill the whole thing, put all of these die cuts back in, all these bits back in the holes, like this. Okay. Then when you've got them in, because remember they're going to be stuck down because you're going to stick them to the paper. But if you don't stick this down, you keep this without sticking it down, you can actually lift this off and leave these pieces stuck in the position that they were in. And it actually looks like, I don't think I've got a card that I've made from, I might have, I'll try and have a look. But it actually looks like an embossing, because they are perfectly lined up where they're supposed to be. And actually all you did was pop them in the holes and then lift that off. So you have a piece here that looks as if it's been silver embossed, and everybody thinks, how the hell did you do that? And it's because you had this. Another way to do it actually is to, when you're coming to die cut it, is put a piece of greaseproof paper in as well as this, even though it's not for sticking. But when you take this out, that piece of greaseproof paper you can then use to line up any odd cutout bits, you know, as a sort of a mask, a stencil. Let me see if I've got one. I know I did have one. I've been using it. Sorry about this. I'm leaning across. I haven't got it at the moment. I was using it as a mask, and it's so useful. Oh, here it is. Here it is. So this was a full-size sheet piece that I had, slightly different pattern. But you can see, so that when I put that down, I can put all the pieces back in randomly, and then I can take this piece of greaseproof paper off, and there they are underneath. Yeah, I don't have a card to hand at the moment to show you about that, but I did show a card how to do that. And that makes a very effective finish as well. Plus, this piece of greaseproof paper, you can forever going forward put it on a card blank and just use it as a stencil, and you can, you know, pounce your colour on it, your whatever colours you want to do, as long as you dab it and you don't rub it. You dab it with a dauber, then when you lift it off, you've got the pattern underneath. So I hope that's helped somewhat, helped with the cards. Thank you for watching. Okay, bye.